The following is a presentation of the Fellowship Church at Anthem, a community of faith, love, and hope. For more information, please visit fellowshipanthem.com.
It's chilly this morning. Well, relatively chilly, right? Love this time of year. It's a fun time of year, and got a lot going on at Fellowship this month. It's October. It's finally here. You can kind of finally start to feel it in the air a little bit, and you can certainly feel it in the activities that are going to be surrounding this month. And I want to let you know about a couple of those things that are coming up. It's those sort of don't miss moments of fellowship. Like today. Today is sort of a don't miss moment of fellowship for many reasons, not least of which is just the superior announcement of our event that's coming up at the end of this month, which is our Halloween fest. And to make that announcement here is Hans McFarland.
Von Lichtenstein.
Von Lichtenstein. I always forget the last part of the McFarland thing. How you doing there, Hans?
Yeah, I come to church often. I heard it was Oktoberfest today. Obviously not.
No, well, no, but we're moving that direction. You helped bring the spirit of it to us today. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good.
Yeah. Why I'm up here, obviously, besides looking like a fool, is to really help promote our Halloween event. I see a lot of people that were there last year. If you were there last year, raise your hand.
Great.
We had almost 700 people in the community come through our Halloween event last year. I didn't look like this last year. I was, but I was dressed up.
You were, yeah. But maybe this year was your year.
Yeah. What this event is we do a Halloween event here on campus. We have games and crafts and trick-or-treating for the kids. We do it out there on the patio. It's really our chance to kick off the fall by serving our community. It gives us an opportunity to make a big splash in the community and really provide a safe place for kids to go trick-or-treating and to really serve our community. What we really need is volunteers. Last year, we had right around 20 volunteers and it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Right? This year, we're looking for about 30 volunteers to really pull it off successfully. When you have 700 people come through, about 450 kids, it takes a lot of wrangling. You can see some of those photos up there from last year. Just amazing. The kids had a great time. So right after service today, you'll find me wearing this, and I'll be doing a little sign up. So if you want to come volunteer, it's a real easy thing. How it works: next Sunday after service, we're going to have a meeting. We'll have kids prepared for you. So let's say you go, I want to run a game. We're going to say, here's the games available. Here's the kid to run the game.
That's awesome.
And, say I want to do my own game. We'll talk about it, figure out what that is, make sure it fits into what we have planned, and you could run your own game. There's also going to be opportunities to maybe buy candy. Let's say you're going, you know what, I really want to do it, but I just can't be there that day. We're going to need things like candy and different things for the kids. So maybe that's a way that you can volunteer as well. Yeah, you see the sign up there. It's October 27th, which is 3 Saturdays?
Yep.
5 to 8 p.m. If you're going to volunteer, we're going to ask you to be here at 3. We're going to decorate the outside of the courtyard there, get it ready. There'll be meeting next Sunday. The next Sunday after that will be a brief meeting. The Friday before the event will be a little social for all the volunteers, so we can all get together and celebrate coming together to serve the community. And it should be a great time. I know it was last year.
Yeah, it really was. And I think it was a huge community outreach event for us, Frank. It's the kind of thing that helps showcase to the community what we're all about, which is serving, loving people right where they are, meeting their families' needs, which is providing an environment for their kids. And the next thing you know, they end up showing up here on Sunday, which then begins their journey with God. So
right. That's exactly right. I can't recall how many people have come to me and said, the first thing I came to at Fellowship was a Halloween event, or a Christmas event, or a New Year's event. Yeah. And all those things are planned for the fall. So if this is an event you can help with, there's plenty more coming right down the road. that you can help with.
Absolutely. So today, stop by, see Brian, sign up, and there's plenty of ways to get involved. Everybody can be involved at some level, whether it's actually serving night of or helping us get candy purchased and that kind of thing. But it really is a great community impact, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be another great year.
Yeah, thanks.
Good stuff. Thanks. Mr. Von Lichtenstein. That's great. Well, I'm going to talk really fast today because I'm going to do something that you probably, if you've been to church ever in your life, it's never happened for you. This will be a first for probably most all of us in terms of what church looks like. But I need to talk to you about two things first. Regarding our wholehearted living pursuit. What's it like to live wholeheartedly in this world? To really engage all the opportunity and to live it fully. Jesus said, I have come that you might have life and that you might have this abundant life, big life, full life, rich life, deep life. And I want to talk to you about two dimensions of that today. And what's interesting about these two pieces of wholehearted living is they almost escape our whole culture today. We almost just never get to engage them. And I'm going to talk just briefly about why. The first thing I want to talk to you about regarding wholehearted living is something called play. Playfulness. And here's the definition for playfulness. It's really simple. Purposelessness. So doing some form of activity without any purpose attached to it whatsoever. This is almost completely, radically foreign concept in our culture past the age of about 4 or 5 years old. After that, we start structuring our kids' lives, we start structuring their schedule, we start structuring their playtime, we try to attach learning to it and meaning to it. And I remember, as a kid growing up, we went outside and we just played, and there was like no agenda. You just played. That was the purpose of play. Was just a period of purposelessness. And today, our lives are so structured, we don't even know how to play. Think about this. When you talk to somebody, I find myself guilty of this all the time. You talk to somebody, you go, hey, how's it going? And they're like, oh, gosh, I'm so busy. So busy. And it's almost as if that the busyness factor in our lives has become this icon that we all strive for. If we can convince people we're busy, we have meaning in life. My life's so busy. Really? Yeah. What are you doing? Oh, well, I got a lot of stuff going on. And we do, right? Even the days of rest for us, the days of play are structured. Saturdays, full of playful activities, for our kids and then for adults and all that kind of thing. But when we think about play, is it possible that we have become doing beings rather than human beings? We've lost the ability to just kick back and do nothing, to just play. I know for a lot of us, our work life is so heavily structured and it's become so integrated into our day-to-day life. We don't punch out on a clock. We get home, and the drive between work and home was filled with like 12 emails, so we got to answer them when we get home. And some of those need action between now and Monday, so Saturday, Sunday, we're off and on our email or text or whatever. We've got to get stuff done because Monday's coming. Monday's not enough to get it all done. There's no time in our lives to just do nothing. It's pretty fascinating research about playfulness. A guy named Stuart Brown, who's a clinical psychologist, he actually wrote this whole book called Play. And they did all this hardcore research. And one of his statements, which is a very bold statement, is that the single most significant factor in determining our success and our happiness is play. That just seems like some of us, it grates against the very core of how we're wired. The single biggest factor in our lives that determines our success and our happiness is our capacity to engage and play. Read an interesting study a couple of years ago about organizational development, and the writer of this particular book, he was a Jewish rabbi, so he knew organizational development in terms of synagogues and religious communities. He was also a family therapist, so he knew organizational development in terms of family structures and family organizations. And he also was a consultant with businesses, so he knew organizational development in terms of the business. And he said there's a common thread between any organization out there that when they lose their capacity to play, and when they lose the spirit of playfulness in the environment, the anxiety level of the environment goes up to the point where functionality in the environment goes down. Perfect. That's play. That's awesome, Debbie. Thank you. Great, purposeful play. So how do we structure it in our lives? How do we build play into our lives? How do we do something without accomplishing something? How do we engage in that as a life and as a lifestyle? You know, I mean, this lack of playfulness even evades our church culture. It probably has been around so long in our church culture. I mean, you guys got it, but I'm one of the funniest pastors you've ever heard. Seriously. And, no, seriously. And yet some of you show up here every week, and when I make a joke and tell funny stories, there's like something inside of you that won't allow you to laugh. Because I see it. I mean, I see some of you sitting there going, there's like this culture in you that's like, I'm in church, we're not allowed to have fun here. God is not about the fun factor. And so you sit there and you're like, it squishes you down. Because you've never experienced playfulness in church. You've never experienced a guy named Van Lichtenstein come up on stage with a beer stein and with it's never happened before in your life. You don't even know if it's like legal. And there's something inside of us that says, you know, that was really funny, but if I laugh, there's a good chance God can strike me dead right here in this chair. Because I've done a lot of other stuff in my life. He doesn't need one more excuse. Because we don't know, it's okay. This is one of my favorite pictures of Jesus. Somebody gave this to me a couple years ago. You ever think of Jesus laughing? I got this picture of Jesus and his disciples sitting around like a riverbank, and they're all talking. And they're, you know, they're not like in some Bible study. I mean, they're laughing. These were his buddies. They're yucking it up. You know, Peter's over there, and he's taking jabs at John, and John's over there, and he's making faces, and, you know, shooting a bird over at, you know, Peter, and, you know, a couple guys are passing gas. I mean, it's just, it's real life, and they're just, and this is Jesus. He's like, you guys. But we don't have that image of God. We don't have that image of Jesus. We don't have that image in our culture where it's okay just to kick back, just to relax. I remember going to the Barry family reunions as a kid out in some little West Oklahoma town, just a spot on the map, and it was just like this. It was like this dirt clod. It was a little larger than a dirt clod. And we'd go out there, and as a kid, you know, you sit in a family reunion, and there's like multiple generations of the whole Barry family sitting around the room, you know. Hey, there's Uncle Wayne, and he was Granddaddy Paul's brother, and his two kids are these guys, and then they are connected to you because that's your cousin, and the third, you know. And I can remember all these people sitting around the room, and all they're doing is just talking. They're just talking to each other, and I'm like, what are we doing here? My dad said, we're just talking, getting to know our family. Like, this is boring. But this purposelessness. I didn't know it at the time, and now I look back on those moments, and we sort of integrated some of that into our family meal every week, you know. I mean, families are on the run so much, like, hey, let's have a family meal together. Okay, load up in the van, we're going to go down to the fast food restaurant, drive through, now eat it between there and home. That'll be our family meal. It doesn't count. So for us, most of the time it's on Sunday nights, we sit around our family table, and I cook some food, and we have long meals and long conversations together. Because I want my kids to grow up and know that it's okay to play. It's okay to play. So here's a couple questions for you. First of all, do you make time to play? Do you make time in your life to play? You want to be healthier physically, mentally, spiritually? You need to start making time to play. You need to laugh more. You need to cut up more. You need to take yourself more lightly. You need to teach your kids it's okay to play. Here's a question for you, and I want you to ask this. When was the last time you invested a purposeless hour in your life? Some of us are like, never, can't. It's not supposed to happen. Play is one of the integral components of a life that's wholeheartedly lived. Here's the next one. This will be another word for some of us that causes us like a borderline anxiety attack. Rest. Oh, I don't have time. I don't have time to rest. Why not? Too busy. Too busy to rest, right? How do you feel? Oh, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Right? So we have these dual badges of honor. One side, busy. The other side, tired. So exhaustion is like this new badge of honor. We're like, it's like we drive along. I said it last night to Peg. We drive down the road, I'm like, man, I'm so tired today. And in all of her great wisdom, she says, you're the master of your own schedule. To which I replied in love, shut up. I don't really tell my wife to shut up, guys. Don't do that. Ladies, you can do it with us because we deserve it, but don't. I remember when I was younger, when we were building fellowship, 12 years ago or so, 10 years ago. I was one of those hard-charging, hard-driving, schedule crazy. I always felt like I could do more in my life than my schedule would tolerate. It's like if I've got this much time, I can really schedule this much activity. And what it caused me to do is just be chronically late to everything, and overdrive myself, and overstaff myself, and over everything myself. And I can remember on a couple of occasions, people around me that loved me and cared about me said, you need to get some rest. I'm like, seriously, sleep is overrated. I will sleep when I retire or when I die, whichever one. But we don't have time. We've got to build this church. We've got to get people in. Now I'm sort of at a stage of life where I recognize that whole period of my life, 20s and 30s and even into early 40s, when rest wasn't a part of the equation, it took a toll eventually. I had pretty significant burnout about 3 or 4 years ago, and I think it was the cumulative effect of not enough play in my life, not enough rest in my life, this belief that I'm more superhuman than I really am. And so you just drive through it, press through it, and it won't take an effect on me. It'll affect some people, but those people are weaker, of which I am not. And the next thing you know, whiplash, and it catches up. God built rest into our lives. He built cycles into our body. Our bodies go through iterations and cycles. And one of the cycles God built into our lives is this thing called rest. He even gave us a weekly day specifically designed for rest. It's called Sabbath. Genesis chapter 2, verse 3. I like this. God blessed the seventh day, and he made it a holy day, because on that day he rested from all the work that he had done creating the world. Now let me ask you a question. One of those big, overarching philosophical questions. If God is an all-powerful God, does he really need to rest from the work that he does? Does he get tired? Does God get tired? And sometimes I think I make God tired. But the reality is, if he's all-powerful, he doesn't get tired. He doesn't need to rest. But he's demonstrating for us that there's a rhythm to life. There are patterns of life. And our lives function better when we build patterns of rest and patterns of play into our life. Some of you are wound so tightly right now, it's because you haven't had time to play. Some of you are so exhausted right now, you don't even think you can make it one more day. And it's because you haven't had time to rest. Exodus chapter 16, verse 29, this was a commandment that God gave his people. Look at this. It says, look, the Lord has made the Sabbath a day of rest for you. So on the 6th day, he's going to give you enough food for 2 days. But on the 7th day, each of you are going to stay where you are. So you mean we don't go get in our cars and drive all over Phoenix and drive? Nope, stay where you are. But my kids have ball games. Stay where you are. You didn't understand my schedule. I have to work. Stay where you are. Do not go anywhere. The rest of the day, we're going to stay right here. Wouldn't that be great? Some of you would love that. You'd be like, that would be so awesome. What am I going to tell my spouse? the pastor wouldn't let us come home. Call in Monday, the pastor won't let us go. We're in a cult. He's locked us in. Some of us are in such a place of sleep debt. We don't sleep enough because we go to bed late and get up early. We're like taking years off of our life. But you know, I read some interesting research a couple of years ago about sleep because I was in that mode too. You know, it's like, hey, I go to bed late to 4:30 and make some stuff happen. What I didn't realize is that cumulatively over time, it has a huge effect on every part of your being, your mind, your body. All that stuff starts wearing out. And so what happens, you know, we think, okay, well, I'll sleep in on Saturday or I'll sleep in on Sunday and I'll catch up. It doesn't work like that. You know that you can only catch up incrementally 15 minutes of sleep that you lost previously? So you're like, man, I slept 2 hours later today. It doesn't matter. You wasted an hour and 45 minutes of it. Should have gone up and picked up trash or something like that. So here's 2 questions for you. What's your rest rhythm? Do you have specific designated periods of time when you rest? By the way, did you know that when God assigned the people this day of Sabbath, if you violated the Sabbath day, there was one penalty for it. It was fairly harsh. They put you to death. They killed you. Violation of the Sabbath. I told you not to work today. All right, fine, you're dead. Seems harsh to me. It's just like, hey, I didn't take a nap. Fine, you're dead. So here's the question for you. Next one. When was the last time you gave yourself permission to take a nap? Some of you, it was last Sunday. You didn't do it today. I mean, last Sunday morning, like at 10, 15, after Josh and Nikki sang. But so here's what we're going to do. This is what's never been done before in the history of church. I'm going to give you time back. You're leaving here with 2 assignments today. 2. They're simple, they're basic, and they're 2. I'm giving you time back to go do them. That's never been done in the history of church. 1, go rest. 2, go play.